and welcome to the Thank You for Knitting YouTube podcast. My name is Zealana and I'm a yarn shop owner and knitwear designer living in Auckland, New Zealand. So this is episode number 12 and I'm coming with a regular update on projects. I have 3 finished objects, a couple of whips to talk about. I want to talk again about our epic Kiwi Makealong that we've got going on, and also show a little bit of the spinning that I've been doing lately. So yeah, let's go for it. Okay, first of all, what I'm wearing. So this is a jumper which I haven't worn here before. I did mention it before in my most worn knits video, but this is my, well, I call it my, it's my first real sweater that I ever knit. It's technically the second sweater I ever knit, but the first one was basically just 2 squares and 2 rectangles all sewed together. It really was just a giant boxy mess with no shaping or anything. So this was the next one that I did, which was the first time I ever followed a proper sort of pattern for a garment. And I love it so much. I made this back in 2017. Yeah, so I made this in October 2017. It looks like it took me exactly a month to knit it. I used a 4mm needle. The pattern is called Harley by Jenny Williams, and I love the pattern. The yarn that I used was one that I bought back when I lived in the US. It is Lion Brand Wool Ease, and I believe it's 80% acrylic, 20% wool, something like that. And I used 5.5 skeins or balls, so just less than 6. I wrote the color as dark green, so I don't know the number, but anyways, this was 2017, so many years ago, so I don't even know if they still have this color of yarn, but I really like how this jumper has held up. I've never de-pilled it or anything, and it's pilled ever so slightly, but not much. It's held up well, and I've worn it a ton over the years. It's got a pretty cool construction where you knit this braided bit on the top first in a horizontal, you knit it this way. There's a messed up braid in here somewhere, but just don't look too closely. And you make this like casing, which you then put the I-cord in later. And then you pick up stitches and do raglan increases. And along the raglan increases, you have beautiful cable detail, and then a braid along the sleeve and cables on the cuffs as well. I'll kind of show you the rest of it. So the main, cables at the bottom. The only modification that I did to this pattern was the original one has got a side split, and I think I knit it that way initially and then I didn't like it. So I feel like I remember ripping out the bottom and re-knitting it. I made it a little bit more cropped, and then I did a couple of decreases right before the waistline, and then I just did straight down with the cables, so there's no side split. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. As I say, I've been wearing it for years. It was such a big success for my first sweater. I definitely didn't know anything about gauge back then. I think I just used the recommended needle and it worked out. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing, my Harley sweater. I would definitely knit this pattern again, and I might do. If this sweater ever dies, I will probably knit another one. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention briefly as well that we recently had local yarn store day here, and it was just a lot of fun. We invited people over. We set up a bunch of chairs outside in the front of the shop in this sort of courtyardy area out front. And we had so many people stop by. We brought in, Katrine who works here brought in her circular machine, and so we were able to crank a bunch of hats to donate to the Auckland City Mission, and we let people kind of, try their hand at that if they wanted to. We also had a community scarf project where we provisionally cast on and knit in 2 directions, and then different people could add on different sections of the scarf. And then we'll sew everyone's names on who worked on it. We might continue to add on to it because it's not super long yet, but people got creative and other people just came and brought their knitting. We all sat, we chatted, we had a grand old time, and I did take a couple of videos and photos, and so there's a bit of footage from that. And I wanted to mention it so I could insert that footage so you could see what local yarn store day was all about here. And yeah, whenever we have those kind of community events, I'm always really grateful that people come and they participate, and it's such a nice reminder of all the support that we get here at the shop, and really the reason why we do this at all, honestly. So anyway, I'll insert those clips, and yeah. Okay, so I have 3 finished projects to show you today. 2 of them are pairs of socks, and 1 of them is a sweater. So the first pair of socks, let me just put one on a sock blocker real quick. Okay, so the first pair of socks that I finished, this was my January sock. I'm knitting a pair of socks every month. Well, I'm casting on a pair every month, and I'm finishing them all within the year. And so even though I had already finished my February, March, and April socks, I hadn't finished these, but I finally finished them, yay, just in the beginning of June. And so this was my January sock. The pattern, I made it up. It's based on my vanilla recipe, but I added this lovely knit and purl texture stitch. Sorry, let me show you the sock. So that's the texture pattern that I did. On the foot, I have just stockinette on the bottom and texture on the top, and then up here, texture all around, and then some ribbing and a little edge. This is the second one, which looks not as nice when it's off the blocker. They're not super high, but they're not super short. It's a really nice ankle, high ankle kind of length. And maybe I will write the pattern at some point after I publish my vanilla recipe first, but otherwise the only other thing to say about this pair of socks is the yarn, which I really, really love. It's called Ewetopia Wisco sock. So it's EWE, Ewetopia, and they're from Viroqua, Wisconsin, which is my hometown in Wisconsin. So that's pretty cool. I bought this yarn at Rhinebeck a couple years ago, the only time I've ever been to Rhinebeck. And the color is called Hudson Valley, which I'm assuming is named after upstate New York, Hudson Valley. And I also grew up partly in upstate New York. So love the colors of this. It's mostly, I mean, there's a lot of dark purplish, blackish, but then there's like speckles of acid green and pink, and I don't know, I just absolutely love all the colors in this. So very, very pleased with that pair of socks. I had quite a bit of yarn left over, so I can do something with that. And yeah, January socks complete, so very happy to have those off the needles. My second finished object is another pair of socks. So these I mentioned last time in my last video. It was May 29th, and I realized, oh my gosh, I have to cast on my May socks. And so that was definitely part of what motivated me to cast on DK weight yarn, because I knew it would be quicker, and it was very quick. So these are, let me put them also on a blocker. These are Union Fibre hand-dyed DK sock yarn. So I think it's a merino nylon blend, DK weight. And I used my vanilla recipe, although I kind of changed, obviously, the stitch counts for the DK weight yarn. I used a 3.25 millimeter needle. I don't know the color name of this either because I had it wound in a ball ages ago and I can't find the tag. But it's a very neutral vibe. It's got some basically plum colored speckles. So I really like it. I have a lot of pretty colorful socks, and it's actually nice to have a kind of a classic neutral pair. I did my normal technique. I did a stockinette foot, 2x2 ribbed leg, increases around the short row heel. I made these a little shorter than normal because, here's the other one, a little shorter because I wasn't sure how much yarn I would use for DK weight socks. I rarely make DK weight socks, so I was just kind of playing it safe. I actually have a fair bit left over, so I could have gone taller, but no matter. I'm happy with them the way that they are. And that means that and I finished these June 18th. So they were just going in the background as my easy knitting, but quick and easy. And that means I'm now caught up entirely. I've finished January, February, March, April, and May socks. So feeling good. Oh, and in case you're wondering about these blockers, these are just some blockers we sell at the shop. They have our little logo on the top. They're bamboo. They have cute little sheep. And yeah, they work great. So we sell them here. They come in small, medium, and large. And I always just use the medium for my foot. And my shoe size is like a US 8 or 8.5. So yep, that's that. Okay, my third finished object is an exciting one. It is my DRK Everyday Sweater. Here it is in all its glory. Well, I should say not quite all of its glory because it still has all the ends poking out. I haven't woven in the ends yet, and I also have not blocked it yet. It will change with blocking, so bear that in mind. I might try to block it between now and my next episode, and maybe I'll even wear it then so you can see what it looks like on. But yeah, I was inspired to make this again from BB of Just Another Knitting Podcast. She and Stephen, they have another knitting podcast based in New Zealand. They're down in Christchurch. And BB made this pattern in Spincycle dyed in the wool. And I thought it looked really flattering and nice. And I just wanted to make one too. So I used our shop color, Miss Rumphius. And I just love all the colors. I think for a yarn like this, if you're going to make a whole garment in a yarn like Spincycle, just a simple pattern is perfect because there's already so much going on with the color. So I made the size medium, or well, it's the third size in the pattern. And then I used the recommended needle sizes. So the main needle is a 3.75. And I think I pretty much followed this exactly to pattern. It comes a little bit cropped. Oh no, I did make a modification, which is that her original design, I think it has like 4 inches of ribbing at the bottom, quite a long rib, and I just didn't want that look. So I knit 2 extra inches on the body and then only did 2 inches of rib. So the total length is according to pattern, but less ribbing. And I'm very happy with that for myself. And I started with 7 skeins of dyed in the wool for this. However, I had a lot left over. Like, I think the amount I have left over is going to equal more than a full skein. I still have to weigh my leftovers. So I'll try to do that and update my Ravelry page. And maybe I'll even put it on the screen. But, so yeah, it might be more like 6 skeins. We'll see when I weigh it. But either way, sometimes people ask me how I manage the color changes of Spincycle, and if you're familiar with Spincycle, you probably know, each skein is unique, and that's what makes this yarn so special and exciting. But some people, there's different schools of thought. Some people micromanage their Spincycle more and try to line everything up perfectly. I fall on the spectrum, on the side of the spectrum where I like to just let it do its thing. The only thing that I do is I make sure that when I'm switching from one skein to the next, that they switch in a place that matches up, so I don't have any harsh lines anywhere. But I didn't try to match my sleeves at all. You can see that they're, how do I hold these up? You can see that they're completely different in terms of how the color distribution went, but I still love it. I think it's like a balanced look, and I kind of managed it. I wanted there to be, okay, there's some gold here and some purple here and some gold, so I still think it's balanced even though they're completely mismatching. But for me, that's part of the beauty of Spincycle, so I like to let it just kind of do its thing. And this yarn is so bouncy, so squishy. It's really lovely. So I am excited to block it and wear it. It is very bright and colorful for me in terms of wearing it, but so I got a little nervous towards the end of this project. Ooh, am I gonna wear this or is it too colorful? But of course I'm gonna wear it. Look how pretty it is. So we'll see. I'll try to wear it next episode. I started that back in the end of January and I just finished now in June. So it just kind of languished for a while, but happy to have it off the needles. So that is my DRK Everyday Sweater. Okay, that's it for finished items. Now I do have a couple of whips to talk about. So as I mentioned last time, we are in the middle of a big New Zealand Makealong. It's the Kiwi Mau. And this was originally inspired or created by Marina from Strawberry Patches Yarns. And she has a podcast as well. And she just kind of gathered a lot of people, and a bunch of people jumped on board. We've got, I think, at least 9 podcasters on board who are co-hosting, and we're just trying to celebrate all things New Zealand, which is exciting. So the rules are you've got to use either a New Zealand yarn. So this could be yarns that are milled locally in New Zealand from sheep and wool that are grown here. This could be yarn that is hand dyed locally by local hand dyers. This could be hand spun yarn maybe. Even if you're a spinner and you live here and you spin your own yarn, that counts too. And Yeah, so any New Zealand yarn, or you can use any New Zealand pattern. So any pattern designed by someone based here. And so, or you can do both, but it doesn't have to be. So the whole idea is just to celebrate the New Zealand fiber arts industry. And we're going all winter for the Southern Hemisphere winter. So we started 1st of June, we're going to the end of August. And you know, we've already started. There's been a lot of people participating, which has been really cool to see. It's looking like there's going to be quite a lot of prizes. And we are willing to ship internationally. So if you're based out of the country, that's totally fine. You can jump in on this knit along. Just use a Kiwi yarn or a Kiwi designer, and you could still win a prize, and we'll ship anywhere. So, oh, and to participate, you can either participate on Instagram using the hashtags KiwiMal and KiwiMal 2025, or you can participate on Ravelry. There's a forum hosted by Marina on Ravelry where there's a lot of chit chat going on and people sharing their photos and their progress, and both platforms have been really active. So feel free to join in on either of those platforms. All that to say, for the Kiwi Makealong, I've got a few different projects planned and started. My main project, my first project for the Kiwi Mal, is the Honeycomb Cardigan by Sedna Yang. And I mentioned last time that I was planning to start this. I have since then started. It's now a whip. And I am making this in collaboration with Zealana Yarns. So Zealana has kindly sent me the yarn for this project. Zealana produce beautiful possum blends that are milled here in New Zealand. Basically, if you ever see a possum yarn, it only ever comes from New Zealand because that's something quite unique down here. It's brushed gel possum. So this yarn is 60% fine New Zealand merino, 40% brushed gel possum. And they sent me this yarn. I am using the color Flax, which is this beautiful like medium brown. So I've been knitting a lot of brown lately, but it's been dark brown. This is something different. It's a very warm, rich, almost like milk chocolatey, I don't know, vaguely orange kind of brown. It's beautiful, I think. And it's light enough to show off the cables nicely. So I realized in my long knitting life, I had never made a fully cabled garment before, even though there are so many beautiful ones out there that I admire. And for a while, I've been wanting to make a fully cabled item in possum yarns, because the possum fur is black, and so it almost gives a little shadow and a slight halo on the yarn. And when you knit it in textures and cables, I feel like that little shadow enhances the depth of the texture, and it just looks beautiful. One of our Knit Night ladies has been knitting a cabled possum garment, and I've been admiring it for a while. Shout out Karen. And now I have my own. So without further ado, this is my Honeycomb Cardigan. As I mentioned, I casted it on June 2nd, so I waited for the mal to officially start. Basically, you start with the back piece. So here's the back piece. And you just have these braids, cables. There's like a honeycomb cable, and I think it's so pretty. And then you pick up stitches along the shoulder seam. It's pretty cool because you can line up your shoulder seam pretty smoothly. Although you can tell the braid changes direction, but then I knit the front piece, the right front. Then I'm next gonna pick up on this side to do the left front, then join it underneath and do the body. Then you have the sleeves and all the edgings. It's a little bit of a cropped, oversized bomber jacket kind of look. I think it looks really cool. And I'm enjoying it so far. The original pattern, she actually uses 3 strands of a light fingering weight held together on a 4.5 millimeter needle. I've knit with the Zealana, I don't know if I actually said, this is Rimu DK. That's the name of this line of yarn. I've knit with this yarn before on a 4.5 millimeter needle, so I knew it would suit the gauge well. It's a DK weight, but it's definitely one that blooms beautifully when you block it. And so I'm using the recommended needle and then just a single strand of DK weight instead of the 3 strands of fingering weight. And it's working out perfectly. My gauge is definitely working. If you've looked at this pattern before, it's a little different than other patterns that I've followed. When I first was reading the notes, I was feeling a little bit confused, but then I just decided I'm gonna get started, and that was a good move because once you start, for me at least, it all kind of made sense. It's very much a visual pattern. There's not a ton of writing, but there's just loads of charts, and the charts have like the increases and the texture and everything built into it. and each size has its own charts. So once I got started on that, I actually love it because I'm a very visual person anyway. So the charts are a great way to go. I'm making the size medium, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's my kind of main current Kiwi Mal project. However, we do have 3 months, so trust me, I've got more plans. Okay, my next whip to mention, it's actually a new cast on. So this is my June socks. I'm all cut up now and I'm on my June socks. And I did mention this in my last episode. So I bought this yarn right after Wool Fest. This is Mrs Peacock Yarns in her Steadfast sock base, which is a merino nylon, I think 80/20. And yeah, she just makes the most beautiful self-striping yarns. I've bought quite a few from her before. This is her label. She's based obviously here in New Zealand. And this color is called Amberlight. And then I bought a little 20-gram mini, which is called Firebird, for my toes and my heels, and maybe the cuff as well. Yeah, I thought the yarn was really pretty, so I kind of wanted to just cast on immediately. So this is my June socks. I'm doing my normal standard kind of vanilla sock. I'm using a 2.5 millimeter needle, which is standard for me. I do the magic loop with the ChowGoo interchangeables. I think this is a 93 centimeter cable, and then I've got my 2.5 millimeter 13 centimeter long tips. And there's my sock so far. So I think the colors are looking really, really pretty. And yeah, I just enjoy the feel of this yarn as well. It's always such a pleasure to knit. It's so soft and smooth, and a vanilla sock is just, it's good for my easy knitting, you know? I don't have to think about it at all. I also love knitting striping yarns because I don't count my rows on socks like I normally do with striping yarns. I just count the stripes. So, oh yeah, and this is in a cute bag that I just bought. I bought this on Tiri Tiri Matangi because it's covered in kina, and I just love the look of kina. Just love the symmetrical, beautiful look. Whenever we walk on the beach, I collect kina. And so I thought this bag was really cute. So it's my new sock bag. I also love a zippered pouch for a sock bag. So that's my new kina bag. Now I have one more new cast on, which I actually just cast on last night. So it's very small. So I showed you the yarn last time, and now it's all wound up. So I have this yarn, which is called Epic by Prosper Yarn. This is their beautiful 100% New Zealand half-bred woolen spun yarn, spun by Wild Earth Yarns down in Christchurch and then hand dyed here in Auckland. This was a one-of-a-kind colorway, which I just thought was so, so pretty. And then I have this beautiful yarn. It's a Surrey alpaca from Heather Weir, and she's also a New Zealand hand dyer. I believe I bought this at Woolfest last year just because I thought the colors were so pretty. And again, they look so good together that when I saw that, I just thought, I have to put them together and I have to have them on my neck because they're so soft. So I just ended up deciding I'm gonna make another Firebird scarf. Firebird scarf is my like super simple scarf pattern. The main, I guess you could say, feature of the Firebird scarf, it's just a skinny little scarf that you wrap around your neck, but you're working on an asymmetrical triangle shape. So the yarn is on a diagonal. I think it looks particularly lovely with hand-dyed yarns and just really colorful yarns. But I decided I'm actually making this one at a different increase rate than my pattern. So once I figure out how this one's gonna work, I will probably just add those notes to the pattern, to the Firebird scarf pattern. So normally it starts skinnier. This one I'm increasing a little more quickly. So I'm on a 5mm needle, and this is my progress so far. And yeah, I'm going a little wider. So there's just little eyelets on this side because that's how we're increasing. And then this sort of asymmetrical triangle shape forming. So it's really squishy and soft and lovely. I'm very pleased with the colors. And again, that's just kind of an easy knitting project. So I'll just have it around. And I'm enjoying it because the Firebird scarf is very easy for me in terms of keeping track of what row you're on. It's just easy. No stitch markers, nothing like that. So I find I just knit these up really quickly. I've made loads of these. Okay, I want to make one other mention about a whip that is getting some attention lately. So I'll insert a photo probably, but this is I wouldn't have talked about this probably since my first episode. I started this project February 2024, so this was a long time ago. And clearly this was one of the few projects that rolled through my Frogger finish at the end of the year. But this is my Battenberg blanket, which is a pattern by Sandra Paul. It's crochet. And I am making, instead of the fingering weight version, which is in the pattern, I wanted to make a DK weight version because I had loads of scrap yarns and I wanted to be able to hold single strands, 2 strands of 4-ply, 3 strands, something with mohair, all that sort of stuff, because I wanted to just use up all my scraps. And so I ended up making a bunch of really beautiful, colorful squares, and no two are exactly the same, which was fun. And then in between, so I'll insert a photo of the colorful squares, which I finished a while ago. I ended up with 98 colorful squares, and then I had to work on the neutral squares. So they've been slower just because they're boring. They all look the same. But I just chipped away, and I've finally kind of reached a point where I'm ready to start joining them together and finish this blanket, because I want to start another blanket and I'm not allowing myself to until I finish this one. So these are my neutral squares. So I'm using a 4mm hook, and then I'm following the pattern, but they end up bigger because thicker weight. So this yarn is from Wild Earth Yarns, which is one of our lovely mills here in New Zealand. They're based in Christchurch. And I just bought a pack of 10 from them. They have this really lovely recycled yarn. So they're mixing up different things and then creating this recycled yarn, which is a really lovely yarn. And if you look up close, there's all these colors in it. But when you zoom out, it reads neutral. So I thought it was great for the in-between squares. So I have currently, I bought a pack of 10 of that yarn, and then I just finished as many squares as I could out of that pack of 10. Got loads in here. And I ended up with 86 squares. So not as many as I will need, but I have another pack of 10 from their recycled yarns. It's a bit of a different color, but it's also neutral. And so I think I'm going to use that for the outer edge. We'll see. But I just decided I'm going to start joining them together, and that'll motivate me to finish. So I laid everything out and I've started joining them together. So I mentioned this to say that soon it might be a finished object, which is exciting because it's a big one and it's an old one. Okay, one quick mention about a plan, and then I'll show you my hand spun, and then that's all I've got for today. So I mentioned last time that I would like to make the Scarlet Oak sweater by Elizabeth Niho, and she is a New Zealand-based pattern designer, and she has this lovely pattern, Scarlet Oak, which is a circular yoke, color work in a fingering weight. And I showed you last time the Outlaw yarn that I have, but I realized I don't actually have the right quantities of the Outlaw yarn for the yoke. And the other thing that happened is we just got a brand new yarn in the shop, and I wanted to cast it on immediately. So we just got in this beautiful lamb's wool, Biche Bouche, Le Petit Lamb's Wool. So very exciting to get a new yarn in. I have admired this yarn for years, and I'm glad we finally have it. It's a beautiful 100% lamb's wool, woolen spun. We got Le Petit Lamb's Wool, which is the fingering weight. I thought it would be good for the shop as well to have a sample in the new yarn. So I decided to switch my Scarlet Oak to using this wool instead. I picked out some colors to use. So my main body will be brown, no surprise there. But then I have these beautiful, how do I do this? These beautiful, this is dark green gray, this is dark gold, soft gold, red brown, and dark brown. And so the top of the yoke starts in a different color than the body. So I'm going to start in this dark green, use these different colors in the yoke, and then have the main body be brown. So if you can see this wool, if you look up close, it has such a depth of color. It's just so pretty. So I really like these colors. I'm so excited to use this yarn. And that is my new plan for the Scarlet Oak sweater. So coming soon. Okay, so I have also been getting into spinning lately. I kind of go through phases with my spinning where I have time or I don't have time. Also, my wheel was a little bit broken for a while. My drive band had gotten too loose, but I brought it here to the shop, and then my friend Kurt fixed the drive band. So yeah, so I've been doing quite a lot of spinning the last, I don't know, few weeks or so. So I'll just show you what I've been spinning in case that's fun to see. I don't know. So this is not new. You've seen this before. I had done one skein before, so I'll just quickly show this because you've seen it before. But I had a braid from Strawberry Patches Merino, which was quite bright, and then I had a braid from Bonnie of Union Fibre, which was a bit more neutral. And I spun the first 100 grams a long time ago, and I finally, so I'm doing a combo spin where I just spun one, spun the other, and then plied them together, and you get this beautiful coloring. Anyway, I finally finished it and spun up the second half. So now I have about 200 grams of these beautiful colors. And yeah, it's not really something I would wear, but I think I'm gonna make something for my niece. So it looks like that. So it's about, it's a 2-ply fingering weight. Because when I was spinning it, I was kind of thinking of socks, but I don't think I will make it into socks, but it's a fingering weight. It's so soft and squishy. So I finished that. Okay, and then I have another hand-dyed braid that I got from Prosper Yarn. So they've just recently gotten into fiber dyeing, and they dye the same colors on their fiber that they do on their yarn, which is actually quite cool because you can see the difference of how they look on the fiber versus the yarn. So this is their color granola. So Lester, my friend of Prosper Yarn, she doesn't spin herself, so I told her I would spin one up as a bit of a tester and then see how it goes, and then I'm going to give this to her as a sort of a demonstration in their shop. I might even knit them a little swatch to show it off, but this is the color granola, and I think it came out really lovely. So I just did a 2-ply, and it's a DK weight, I would say, in the end. And yeah, it feels super lovely. I believe this one is just 100% merino, but anyway, that's for less. And one more thing to show, which is my all-time favorite fiber, honestly, which I've talked about before, but spinning it again just reinforced how much I love it. So this is the Haunui wool, and this is a breed that only exists in New Zealand. You can only get it from one farm. They worked for years to kind of create this breed, and it combines incredible softness with a long staple. It's just a dream to work with, and the way that they prep it, it is the easiest spinning I've ever done. So spinning with this again reminded me this yarn is so easy to spin. So I spun this up very, very quickly in probably a few days, less than a week. I had 300 grams of the chocolate color. I think it was a 26.7 micron, but when you get a normal 26 micron, it would be rougher than this. The Haunui, even the higher microns, are super, super soft. Yeah, they just spin really well. They ply really well. Whenever I ply them together, they seem perfectly balanced. I don't know, this is a magical fiber. So I've got 300 grams of this chocolate color, yeah, in these two kind of large skeins. But basically my plan, and I don't necessarily want to do it anytime soon, is I've always liked the Sophie shawl, and the original version that Petite Knit did was in a beautiful chocolate brown color. So I'm thinking my plan at some point will be to make a chocolate brown hand spun Sophie shawl or some kind of cozy shawl like that. I'm not in a rush, but just, yeah, absolutely love this Haunui wool. If you're a spinner and you haven't tried Haunui, you really, really should. I'm pretty sure they ship anywhere, so anyone in the world can try this. It's such a unique fiber. Highly recommend. So that's my Haunui spin. And, oh, I just found this in here. Yeah, this is actually a question I've been wondering about. If there's any spinners out there, what do you do when you have those little bits left over? Like if you spin on one bobbin and then on the other bobbin and then you ply them together. Sometimes I have leftovers on just one bobbin. So I had 2 separate leftovers that I just plied together, and then I get these weird random tiny skeins. But am I doing something wrong? Can someone tell me? I never had a formal spinning lesson, so I don't know if this happens to other spinners or what you do with your little leftover bits, but I would be very curious to know. Okay, that is all I have to share for today, but otherwise, yeah, I hope you're doing well out there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you if you have subscribed to this channel. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I guess I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.